So, thank you for coming and taking time out of your day. I'm going to try and be as thorough yet quick as I can be. There's a lot of information. This is just kind of skimming the surface, but when you all are with your teams, you can kind of go over and make sure everybody knows what they're doing. I recognize a couple team leads. Or any other? Okay, so a couple of you. Hopefully everybody else is planning on coming tomorrow. So yes, the Durango Wine Experience. This is our 4th year, right, Tracy? We started in the pandemic era, so 3 years ago.
This is our 3rd.
This is our 3rd actual year.
Yes.
Yeah, we started in a hiatus year, 2020, so that didn't happen, but 21, 22, and 20. Oh wait,
No,
22,
we didn't get to do
23.
21 either.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is our 3rd go around. We're really excited to be able to have 10 nonprofits as a part of this. I think it's a great way to highlight our sector and educate the community on the impact that we're having in the community. And it's a great way for you all to spread information about your own organization. So while this is the biggest fundraiser for us, we are sharing out $28,000 with other nonprofits in the community just to kind of spread the love and awareness. So thank you so much for being a part of it this year, and we're really excited to have you. I'm Rachel Rosenthal. I am the Community Outreach Manager at the Community Foundation. I'm also the Volunteer Coordinator. So in addition to your team lead, I will be everywhere on Friday and Saturday with my clipboard, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask or go to your team lead. But I'm here to help you out and put on a great event for the community. All right, so time commitment. Each organization that receives the grant is providing 4 volunteers for the 2 nights of our event. So there's the Friday night event, which is April 26th. That's the walkabout. It takes place downtown. We have 10 different participating restaurants and galleries that are going to host one nonprofit organization. So the 4 volunteers of that organization will be at that one location, and that'll be from 3:30 to 7:30. So for volunteers, in your packet we do have a graph that shows who is going to be where. So just make sure you know where that is. I'm sure we all spend a lot of time in downtown Durango and hopefully know where all these places are. But if you don't, just check and make sure you have to be there by 3:30. And then on Saturday, so that's our grand tasting, that is everybody at the Smiley Building. We are doing something a little different this year. We're doing in shifts. We have 3 different shifts. We have a pre-shift, which is kind of setting up, getting the vendors ready to go, making sure everything looks nice for when the guests arrive. We have our during shift, which is supporting vendors, supporting guests, general cleanup. That's going to run the length of the event, and then the post is my strong people. They're going to be loading everything back into the trucks at the end of the night. So yeah, it'll be a busy evening, but I think we'll all be there to help each other, and we'll go very simply. All right, what to wear. So this is a fine example of what to wear. Black pants and a white shirt, unless your team has a uniform shirt that you would all like to wear. Just be mindful that aprons will cover any text, so if you have a cute saying or a cute picture, it might get covered up. But you're welcome to wear colors or hats, something that sets you apart and lets people know you're the participating nonprofit and they can come and talk to you. You'll also have, these people are wearing name tags. You don't have to, but it's a nice way, again, for people to get to know you, put a face to your name and know that you're with the organization. So if you have those, it's a nice touch. You will have a yellow wristband, which will be in your aprons. So team leads are going to come and get those from me at the Welcome Center, and they'll bring them to their volunteers. It'll have a yellow wristband that just signifies that you are working. Everything goes by wristband. So all of our vendors will have wristbands. people coming to visit will have wristbands signifying that they're there for that specific event. So these ones, if you see a green wristband, it means that somebody has a weekend pass, so they are allowed to be at both events. So they've purchased a slot for both events. And then the grand tasting is going to be a gold wristband, and the black is for the walkabout. So if you notice somebody's probably where they shouldn't be, or maybe they just wanted to get a twofer and snuck into one, you can always let one of our ambassadors or a vendor know. You don't have to take that on, but it's just helpful to look out for. We don't want people poaching. And there will be people coming in from the community because the galleries will be open, but they just aren't allowed to partake in the food. So they can still come and look, learn about it, but yeah, you have to pay for the goodies. Let's see, you have the black apron and comfortable shoes. You're going to be standing, moving around a lot. So you want to look clean and presentable and nice, but comfortable. So maybe you can stand and move in for 4 hours. All right, so physical demands. Depending on what you're doing, you are definitely going to be standing for those 4 hours and moving a lot. The ability to lift 15 to 20 pounds. We have wine cases. So those are going to be transported, breaking down tables, moving them. So just make sure that you feel comfortable doing those things. The events are going to happen, rain or shine. So spring in Colorado, you never know what you're going to get. So make sure you check the weather for the day and plan accordingly. It's not as big of a deal for the walkabout because you're inside. So just getting to and from your car. But for the grand tasting, it's primarily outdoors. Unless you're in the tent working with one of the vendors, you could be out and about and around the tent. So just make sure you come supplied with what you're going to need to be comfortable. And also bring a water bottle. All we have is glass. We're trying to be low impact, so we don't have any plastic water bottles that we're providing to guests. They'll each have glassware for the wine. So make sure you bring your own water bottle, and you can always refill at one of the water stations, but we don't provide plastic. And snacks. One of the rules, unfortunately, as a volunteer, is you can't partake in the vendor food. We have a limited amount, and we give that to the paid guests, but bring a pack with snacks. We'll have several tables like this that'll have tablecloths, and you can store it under there. So whatever you need, bring it in a pack, and we'll store it in a place that's out of sight and out of the sun. Hopefully we have sun and not rain. All right, your cars. As we all know, parking in Durango can be entertaining. So I highly recommend, if you can, carpool, come in a group, 4 to a car, it's pretty easy. For the walkabout, you're going to want to find a spot somewhere downtown. We're going to be between 8th and 10th, and then there's a couple locations up on 2nd. So if you want to park on 3rd and walk down, you're more than welcome to. There's also the free parking at the transit center, or just feed the meter for those 3 hours that your vehicle will be there. You don't want to come back to a ticket, which I've done plenty of times. It's always a bummer. And then for the grand tasting, you'll just park side streets around the Smiley building. The lots are going to be closed because we need vendors to get in and out and be able to load and unload. And Community Foundation employees will be able to park there because we're also going to be loading some of the items. So we just ask that you stay to the side streets. You can park down by Buckley or anywhere along 3rd. All right, so the walkabout. This is a great example of a table. When you get to the walkabout, everything's going to be set up. The vendors will be ready to go. You will have a tall 24-inch round table with a black tablecloth. This is where you can put any swag, anything that you want to use to promote your organization, stickers, business cards, flyers. Some people will set up framed photos. Maybe they've just had a really big project or an event and they want to show off some photos from that. You're also welcome to have a tip jar. We just ask that it stays on the table, it doesn't get passed around, but you're welcome to have a tip jar with a cute sign that encourages people to make some donations while they're there talking to you. And we will also have, I'll show you guys these, actually I still need to show you this. So everybody in their aprons will have stickers for the walkabout night, and we'll also have some at the table. We play a passport game, so it's to encourage people to rotate around and go check out and talk to different nonprofits. So if somebody has talked to you and engaged with you about your organization, they can give you their passport card and you'll take one of these stickers and put it over your logo. So each organization has a logo on a grid. Put one there for that. At the end of the night, if they have 5 unique stickers, they can hand it in to an ambassador, and they're entered for a drawing to win 2 weekend passes for 2025. So it's like a $300 value. So hopefully a lot of people are playing, a lot of people are engaging with you. And just remember to do those stickers. I think we had 200 last year, 200 passport cards turned in. So everybody has 200 of these fun little dots. In your apron, you're also going to have, so we'll have your yellow wristband. This is what the volunteer wristbands look like. You have to wear it at all times for your shift. You'll also have a frequently asked questions. So questions that get asked all the time. So somebody asks you something, you can always refer to this and help you answer it. And on the back, we have our Right Responsible information. It's sponsored by the state, and the Hive receives funding to support it. It's sober alternative rides. So if people have had too much to drink, they want to ride home, that's free. They can go to one of our Right Responsible locations. They'll have tokens for the transit. And we also have a QR code that links to the map for city buses. Just trying to encourage people to not drink and drive. So this is something that will come in handy. And then we'll have your Durango Wine Experience pamphlet. This has a map of all the walkabout locations, a map of the grand tasting. So this is a super handy tool. Again, if you're somebody that's lost, wants to know where a certain restaurant is or where one of the other nonprofits is at, you can use this to help guide them. Okay, so all that's going to be in your apron, and team leads will come and get those from me. Once you get there, so after the team leads have come to the Welcome Center at 3:15, gotten the aprons, everybody set up their table, familiarize yourself with the location. Some of them have public restrooms, others don't. If yours does not have one, you can direct people to the Welcome Center. They have public restrooms for guests to use. And we're within a 2-block radius, so everything's still pretty close. Know where the food table is and the water. And read your brochures and just familiarize yourself so you don't get caught off guard. And be passionate, have fun. All right, so this is also in your packet. It has the locations. It's on page 2. So go ahead and find your organization that you'll be volunteering with. And it has the name of the venue and their address. I'm sure we're all very familiar with all of these places, but just in case. All right, some more examples. So again, these nonprofit organizations, they decided to wear matching t-shirts. These people, they have a tip jar. Not everybody does it, but you're welcome to. Different signage, brochures. You can have a sign-up list if you want to encourage people to join your email list. You can have one of those out. We just ask again that not be passed around. Yeah.
I was just thinking about the word tips versus
Yeah.
donation. Can you put donation on the jar?
Absolutely.
Because it seems like maybe you get more money.
Yeah. Yeah, and you
Okay.
can come up with a fun
Thanks,
phrase,
Melissa.
maybe depending on what your organization is, something fun and cute, donate, or add more good karma to your karma banker. And donate to your favorite organization or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a great way to raise additional funds. And just, yeah, continue on to that. So guests will have one of the pamphlets like I showed you. Inside their pamphlet, this is what the passport gang looks like. So you see there's a logo for each of the organizations. They'll hand that to you and you give them the sticker. So yeah, and each of them is going to have a bag. They're going to be bringing their own glassware, which they get at registration. So it's a little wine glass that says Durango Wine Experience. So that's why we don't have any plastic going in and out. And when you see people leaving, make sure that their glass is empty. We're not Las Vegas, so no open containers. So just make sure either they drink what's left or we'll have a spit bucket towards the entrance that they can pour it into if they need to. And these, which you saw out front, and there will be one in front of each location, the feather flags, those will already be set up prior to the event starting. At the end of the night, however, they do need to be taken down and set aside for the trucks to pick up. We'll have a box, I guess it's like a canister, a brown canister. We'll leave it by your organization's table, just so you know where it is, and you can stash it somewhere where it's out of the way. And at the end of the night, take the feather flag down, keep all the pieces together, put them in the canister, and then that'll move out front for the trucks. All right, so our ambassadors. These are people that are associated with the Community Foundation. A lot of them are on our board or our External Affairs Committee. Some are staff members, but they're there to provide an additional line of help. People have questions about the fundraiser or about the Community Foundation or just questions in general. They're another resource that'll be there. There will be one at each walkabout location. So in years past, they wore orange sashes. This year they get to decorate fun little hats, and they'll have round little signs that say "Ask Me." So they'll stand out. Hopefully they have some really fun hats. But yeah, you'll have one with you to help you. So if you're needing help with a guest or anything like that, they're there to help. And they also have a really important role at the end of the night, which is taking up the wine boxes. So like I said, we don't want anything open going out, but we also don't want the wine boxes going out unless they're taped. So at the end of the night, when you're taking things down, moving them out front, make sure that the wine boxes have been taped by an ambassador before they leave the building. All right, so team leaders. Yeah.
Can I also just
Yeah.
remind you, the ambassadors are who you would turn your passport sheets into. So they're finished with their sheets when they're done, just have them turn it into one of our ambassadors.
And this is Kelly Posh. She's our event coordinator. So Durango Wine Experience is her baby. So you will be seeing her around too. She's the guru on all things Durango Wine Experience, and I am a newbie, so if I can't answer it, she can. All right, so team leaders. So in addition to the team leader, that's going to be the fourth team member. They are going to assign an NPO spokesperson. So that's somebody, could be your executive director, somebody on the board that really knows a lot about your mission and feels comfortable talking about it. So that person will primarily be at the table, getting people to maybe sign up for your email list or anything that you choose to do. But somebody that's eloquent and can really talk up your organization and get people interested in learning a lot. Door greeter, this person's typically towards the inside of the door, so kind of like Kelly, to the inside of the door, greeting people as they come in, welcoming them, inviting them to learn more about their organization, and also, not a bouncer, but just making sure no alcohol leaves the building. And then the runner, kind of like a busser, running things to the vendors as they need it, if they need more ice, if there's a spill or a mess, cleaning or dealing with that as they arise, and just kind of rotating all over the place, providing guest assistance, kind of the jack of all trades. And I think I've already covered not letting alcohol. All right, so end of night duties. The staff at the venue, they are going to want to close their doors. So once everybody's out the door, it's 6:30, we're ready to close down. We're going to start cleaning up breaking down tables. So everything was set up for you when you got there. When you're leaving, we gotta make sure everything gets taken down. And once we've started to organize materials, we can move them out to the sidewalk at the edge, and then trucks will come by and pick up. We'll have 2 trucks, they'll start at the same location and go around. So hopefully that kind of expedites it. But yeah, just be orderly, make sure stuff is out to the sidewalk and ready to be picked up. Once the trucks arrive, help them load. It's also important to note the orange ribbon. So on your table, you have a black tablecloth. There's gonna be an orange ribbon tied around it just to kind of keep it looking nice and neat. When you remove that, to take the tablecloth off, just make sure the orange ribbon is separate, and there's gonna be a basket in the truck to put those in. And then for linens, we just keep the same colors matched up, because we don't want black mixing with the white and then going in the wash and turning gray. So we'll keep those in separate piles as well, and they'll go into the truck separately.
Rachel, are those gonna be reused at the grand tasting?
Well, these are the ones from Friday night reused.
I think we have new ones.
No, we get fresh ones,
Yeah,
but we
there's-
need to return them all to
Okay.
because they're all
Yeah.
rented items.
Okay, so the full, like, they can get wrinkled? I
Yes.
guess that's what I'm asking.
Yes,
Okay.
we're just piling them
Okay.
and getting them into the truck.
Okay.
The only thing that we're gonna reuse, and this is why we want them separate, is the orange ribbons.
Okay,
Because when we take the tall tables to the grand tasting, we're gonna set it up similar to that. So we just don't wanna be digging through dirty tablecloths trying to find them.
I think you should mention about the aprons, collecting the aprons. That was
Oh,
one of the
gosh,
bullets on
yes. So aprons, team leads, you collected them at the beginning of the night. At the end, collect them from everybody again. Make sure if you have chapstick in there or anything, take it out, give it to the team lead, and you'll put it back in this nylon bag, and that'll be out there ready to go with the trucks too, because these do get reused for the next day. All right, the grand tasting. As you can tell, it's very popular. It's very crowded in the tent. We have a lot of people coming to attend. So our role during that time is supporting vendors, general cleanup, and again, making sure alcohol doesn't leave the premises. And again, on time, the shifts are broken up, so we have the pre, the during, and the post. So in your pamphlet, you have where your organization is delegated. I also broke it down a little further. So each team that arrives for their shift is gonna be split into a different area of the venue, just to kind of keep it moving. We noticed last year when we had everybody come at once, it was a little hard to have enough tasks for 40 people to do at the same time, so that's why we're splitting it up a lot more this year. And again, just make sure if you're a team lead and you have new volunteers that day, make sure that they read the brochure and the questions and have an idea of the lay of the land. There's a map in there that shows where the restaurant tables are and the wine vendors. We're split between 2 tents, so most of the wine vendors are in one. And then in the small tent, we have liquor. And then there's 1 beer this year represented. We have Odell. So that'll be in the big tent with the wines. And I already kind of discussed this. So we have a volunteer table to stash gear. We'll have 2 tables. After we meet and I give assignments, you can store your stuff under there until the end of your shift. Alright, so this is kind of a breakout. This is right here. The only ones that I don't really have specific assignments for is our post team, because it's kind of going to be an all hands on deck. I have a really long list. I'm going to be running around with my clipboard, and we're just going to run through it and get her done. All right, so our pre-shift people, they start at 10:30 and work until 2:30. And that's our Southwest Conservation Corps and our Durango Independent Film crew. So yeah, this is setting up, gussying it up, making it look nice. There is going to be a lot of lifting in this one, because we're taking wine crates from storage, bringing them to venue, carrying them to the correct table. Everything's going to be labeled so you know which vendor it belongs with. hanging banners, setting up the feather flags, moving lawn furniture out, setting up tables, chairs, and then starting to load. We'll have big bus bins for the wines. We'll start to load those with ice, line them with napkins, just so they look pretty. So yeah, a lot of organizing going on with that one. And I have, if you look in your section, do I have any pre-shift people in here? Okay. So highlighted in blue, I just have a few details. You guys don't really have a ton because we're not going to have guests there. So it's really just the muscle work, getting stuff ready. And then I'm going to have 2 of you stay with one of our Community Foundation volunteers. It's another nonprofit in the Weeds that we also support with a grant. And they've done this with us, how many years now? 2 years. So this is their 3rd year. So they really know the ins and outs of where all the wine is. We'll have 2 with them, just helping with the logistics. So expect to be split up from your team if you're in the grant tasting, just because there's a lot of ground to cover. All right, the during shift, this group shows up at 2:30 and stays until 6:30, so you're really there from the very beginning of the event all the way up until the end, with like a 30-minute time frame there when guests are gone, where this is the one point in time where we're gonna have 20, how many do we have during shift? 28, I think. 28, and then another 8 for the after shift. So that's kind of our golden hour to really try and get a lot done so that we can get everything looking good and get on our way. So we will meet for my during shift, we'll meet in front of the main entrance of the Smiley building. The only one that's different is my pre-shift, we'll meet at the main tent where we're gonna be taking everything, okay? But during shift, we will meet at the main entrance. I'll check everybody out, make sure everybody's there, and then I'll show you to the volunteer table where you can set your stuff and get comfortable, and then we'll run through the list of duties. And again, we'll be split up between vendors, we'll have some working the tent, and I'll also have a couple people working parking, because people like to try and sneak up there and then it blocks the vendors, or it could cause a mess. So we'll have 2 people designated to the parking lot just to make sure traffic's going through. I'm gonna bring 2 camp chairs because it's probably the most boring job. I'm sorry whoever gets assigned to it, but I'll bring camp chairs and you'll be monitoring and making sure traffic doesn't come up into the parking lot of the Smiley building, and direct them to park on the side streets. They can park on that hill that goes down to 14th or over by Buckley. The top of 13th is where the Ride Responsible tent is gonna be, so you might have guests coming out of the event that are looking for Ride Responsible, so you can show them where that is located if they need a ride. And then we will have a team on the Smiley entrances. So no wine is allowed to come into the building, because technically the event is happening on the lawn. So whoever is at an entrance, just make sure they have a glass, ask them if you go with a friend, or if there's just a little bit, drink it, or before going into the building. And restrooms are located on all 3 floors. So if somebody's looking for a restroom, they can use any one of those located on any floor. And I believe they're in the stairwell, right? Am I thinking of
They're in
that?
a couple different spots.
Couple different spots.
Yeah, they're on either end of the cafe. On the first floor would probably be the most utilized. So the cafe sits right in the middle, and there's some on this end. And it's very specific of me. On the southwest end and on the northeast end, probably.
And then 3 teams, so our biggest bunch, are going to be helping vendors. We have to make sure we have 11 restaurants that are participating and serving food, and then we have the 38 liquor, wine, or beer vendors. So I will specifically assign people either to a restaurant that has requested the help, or you'll be helping a block of wine vendors. So maybe you're assigned to 5 tables, and you're just rotating, making sure, checking if they need ice. You run out, we'll have a big ice truck. It's just bags of ice. Run, grab one of those, keep those full. Emptying spit buckets. It's not as gross as it sounds. It's usually just dumped wine. You're not talking movies. So keeping those cleaned out. refilling waters. We have 5-gallon jugs and they just sit on a ceramic base. Each station is gonna have 5-gallon jugs of water. So once those are empty, just keep an eye out for those, make sure there's plenty of water for guests to drink. One thing that they encountered last year was there's specific spots that people like to go to for water. So one area might run out a lot faster than one does elsewhere. If there are no more 5-gallon jugs there, you can take one from one of the other spots. Just, yeah, use what you need and keep the water there. And that kind of covers it. Well, it'll be a lot more detailed when we were there. I just don't want to overwhelm anybody with a long list. But we'll be breaking it down throughout, and I think it's going to run really smoothly this year. All right, post shift. So this group shows up at 8:30. Again, we're
At
going to meet.
4:30.
Oh, shows up at 4:30, leaves at 8:30. We'll meet at the main entrance by the stairs, just in front by the cafe. Same thing. We'll go. I'll let you get settled and hand out aprons, and we'll start assigning tasks. This really is going to kind of depend on what the during shift has looked like. I think a priority for the post shift people as they come in is check in with the people that have been there for the last couple hours and see if they need a break to use the restroom or get a drink of water. They've been working their hiney off, just give them an opportunity to take a quick break and support them where you can. So I'll probably have a couple go to specific vendors. I'll have one go to parking to relieve them, and a couple go to the entrances. So that will be divvied up then. At 5:45, everything's going to change. The event starts to slow down. Vendors are running out of food. So once that starts to happen, you can jump in and help the vendors start to break down their areas, clean what they need to clean so that they can load up and move on. And that will just, once the event ends, that will make it a lot smoother because then we can really jump in. And then at 6 o'clock, all hands on deck. We're getting done what we can. Obviously, we want to be orderly. Brigham would be mad at me if I said, jump in there, you're not punting things into the truck. Like, we'll be methodical, but quick. So yeah, we have that 30-minute time period where we have a lot of volunteers, and we'll just really work together to get as much done as we can. At 6:30, the during shift leaves, and it's just my 8 post shift. So hopefully at that point, everything's been broken down, and it's just loading stuff and moving things under the tent. So should be pretty easy, and then once we're done, we're done. So. Ride responsible, I've already talked about this. So they'll have a booth set up at the walkabout, and that'll be next to our space. There's that big parking lot there. So they will have a booth set up, and they will be helping people locate and find rides to get home if they need it. And that's put on by the Hive. I don't know if I said that yet. They get the grant money to do this. They use the Buzz Bus. So they're just a really awesome group, and it's nice to support them too by giving them a grant and having them help us with this event. And I already showed you that the fact sheet that you have has barcodes, and it has the number to call for the Buzz Bus, and all of those details are in there. All right, party fouls. So just some important don'ts. Obviously don't drink while you're working. It goes without saying, but it's important to mention. So vendor food, it's a limited amount, so we're trying to keep it to guests, but you're welcome to bring any snacks, take breaks as needed, just communicate with your team if you need to go take 15 minutes and eat something and use the restroom and have a drink. You're fine to do that, just communicate with your
Drink of
vendor.
water.
Yeah, drink of water, not alcohol. And yes, I mean, everybody here is awesome and positive, and they're doing positive, good things for the world, so we're all positive people, but don't get caught in if somebody is saying something negative. We're here to portray ourselves in the best light, and we're all going to do that, so I'm not going to worry. And taking off early from your shift. If an emergency comes up, obviously there's things we can't predict, but communicate to your team leader and have them communicate to me. It's always a good idea to have a backup volunteer in case something happens and somebody needs to leave. They need to go get their kid, or something happens. Have somebody that you can call on if somebody needs to step out. that's it. So does anybody have any questions?
What happens if glass breaks?
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I was so worried I'm not letting alcohol leave the premises. All right, so in particular with the Smiley building, their lawn is a playground for the Montessori school. So we really don't want little kids playing over broken glass. If you see, especially if you're working around the vendors or in the tent and somebody does break glass, we have a spray paint can that's under the table at the community foundation tent. So it's right at the entrance, it's an orange tent. Take the spray paint, circle the area where the broken glass is, pick up the big pieces, and then the circle just signifies to somebody that's cleaning up later to kind of comb through and make sure there's no remaining glass that's gonna cut somebody. So, yeah. And then at the walkabout, if somebody breaks glass, just find a broom, scoop it up. And do we have extra if somebody breaks their glass? Are there extras, or do they need to purchase?
So every ticket comes with a stemless piece of glassware, or they can upgrade to Rydell Crystal. And so if they break a glass or need a glass, just send them back to registration on Friday night at our space, or the tent for the community foundation, the big orange tent, and we'll take care of them. There's a lot of people who they're supposed to bring their glass back the next night, on Saturday, because they're just given one glass. And there's a lot of people who forget. So you guys don't have to deal with it. Tell them to go talk to an ambassador or send them to the registration table with the orange tent, and we'll sell them another glass because it's a fundraiser. If you break your glass, I'll probably be nice. We'll see, but we don't want to have a lot of plastic, and plus the vendors don't really like it if we're serving wine, the wonderful wine out of a plastic glass. So, yeah.
Any questions? I'm really excited. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Is everybody else excited? Quiet crowd. All right, well, thank you so much for coming. We got really